So you've been training for a couple years or so now, and you finally decided that you want to hop on a cycle. But you don't quite know what to do, what to run, what to look out for, how to not die, or how not die by 30, as a bunch of the idiots say online. So now you're scrolling through YouTube and trying to find a video that's going to answer all your questions in one. Well, I don't know if this will answer every question you have, but hopefully we can get to the more important ones and some of the stuff you might want to know so that you can actually do this properly, do it safely, and still get progress. But first and foremost, before we go on to talking about how to stay healthy and all that other stuff, I want to say that taking steroids is not going to get you bigger unless you actually train in a way to get bigger. You can't just run a cycle and go and screw off and then hope that you're going to get gains. It's not going to work. If you think you can just climb the ladder by doing a whole bunch of nothing and blasting a bunch of gear, you're not going to get anywhere, and you're just going to end up extremely disappointed and probably hate yourself more than you already do right now. But now that that's off the table, and you probably already knew that, but if you didn't, no, they will not work if you do not work as well. They will not make you lean unless you diet properly to get lean. Now, running a cycle can help keep you lean. It can help get you lean because your metabolism is going to go up a little bit. You're going to recover better. You might burn a little bit more fat. But the core principles of diet and training must still be there for gear to even do literally anything. So if you just want to run a cycle because you want to get shredded really fast or you want to get big really fast, this is not the video you're looking for. Go find some other video online of somebody that's going to lie to you and tell you that steroids will do that. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to. So, putting that aside, is it possible to stay healthy on a cycle? Yes, you can stay pretty much as healthy as natural while being on a huge blast if you just take a couple supplements and medications in order to keep yourself healthy. And I'll pop up some of my blood work on screen right around here. And I'll kind of scroll through it so you can see what my blood work looks like on my cycle, just to show you that everything is pretty neat there. The only thing that's a little low will be my HDL from using Anavar, in which Anavar crushes your HDL, and that's why you would want to supplement with something like an omega-3. I always recommend that people use like a tri-blend, so a little bit of fish oil, a little bit of krill oil, a little bit of algae oil. You get a benefit from each one of those that you're not going to get. Like, if you take just krill oil, you're not going to get the same benefit that you would get if you take krill oil and fish oil. Same thing with algae oil. So you need to be taking all three. That way you're getting like the full wide variety of the health improvement and the harm mitigation. But besides just the omega-3s that you probably already know you need to be taking, what other stuff should you be taking on cycle? Okay, well, there's not really a whole lot of supplements you need to be taking. Like, you don't need to be taking all these magic gear, these magic cycle complexes that these companies are coming out with and making just to steal your money. You just need something simple, like some Tudka, some milk thistle. That way you can keep your liver healthy. Use some ubiquinol and some omega-3s. That way you can keep your heart healthy. Take some astragalus. That's going to help keep your kidneys healthy. Take some baby aspirin. That's going to help thin your blood a little bit. That way it doesn't clot. You don't end up dying of a heart attack if you're taking anything that might increase clotting risk. But I mean, realistically, like, it's not that difficult to stay healthy on cycle. And a lot of things that you take on cycle as well is stuff you should already be taking if you're natural. It's like things that are just going to improve your body functions day to day. But when you're on cycle, you're putting your body into red line constantly. So you're going to need to be adding in a lot more things, like maybe you don't take vitamin B complexes natural, even though you should. Now you're really going to be wanting to take that on cycle because your body's going to be needing to get all the nutrients it can. That way it can actually, the gear can actually do its thing. Because if you're not fueling yourself, it's like having a high horsepower car but not putting any gas in it. It's like it's not going to go anywhere. If you're not fueling yourself with a proper diet, if you're not fueling yourself with proper supplements, you're not going to stay healthy. Another thing that's extremely important is to manage your blood pressure. I cannot stress this enough. I've heard so many people that just refuse to take something to keep their blood pressure down, and all they're doing is just enlarging their heart, killing their kidneys, and they're going to have a heart attack. And these people that don't want to take supplements and medications to keep themselves healthy are the reason the stereotypes exist of people that say, oh, if you take gear, you're going to die by 30. Because a bunch of idiots just take gear, they blast, and then they don't keep themselves healthy. And then, yes, you are going to die if you don't take stuff to keep yourself healthy on cycle. But if you just take a couple supplements and a couple medications, you're going to stay fine. You're going to live just as long as somebody that was completely natural their whole life. Now, this video is not supposed to be some sales video to get you to hop on gear, because if it's not something you want to do, then by all means that's your choice and don't do it. But if it is something you want to do, then just make sure you're doing it right and you're not absolutely ruining yourself. That way you don't regret the decision you make. Because I can confidently say that if you do your cycle correctly, you are never going to regret it. You're going to be so glad you did. It's going to change your life for the better. It's going to change your mindset for the better. It's going to make you willing to push so much harder, willing to work so much harder. You're going to have more motivation. You're going to recover better. You're going to sleep better. And now there's so many things that you can do as a natural to improve recovery, to improve sleep, to get more, to get more gains in the gym. If you just sleep better, take basic supplements to keep yourself healthy. And you can be natural, have a really good routine, take the supplements that keep you healthy, and get the same results that someone would get on gear that is just kind of screwing off and doing a whole lot of nothing. And that goes to show you that you don't need gear in order to actually get big. It's just something that's going to accelerate the process. It's something that's going to help. But just like when you modify your car, if you put a new exhaust on it, a new tune, if you put a turbo, a supercharger, you put nitrous on it, there's a much higher chance that something is going to go wrong, something's going to break. And you need to be able to fix that if something does break. But as long as you watch out and keep up with the maintenance, it's probably not going to break. And you'll probably catch something early and it probably won't ever be a big deal. But if you just kind of let things go and you don't pay attention to anything, then yeah, it is going to be a big deal, and you're probably going to have a heart attack or something like that. But if you just take the simple supplements that I said a little bit ago, you manage your blood pressure with something like telmisartan, that's just basically going to dilate your blood vessels. It's going to allow the blood to flow better. It's going to improve the health of your kidneys. It's going to help keep your heart smaller. That way it doesn't enlarge larger than it needs to be. All that stuff is going to put less stress on your heart, less stress on your organs. And you're not going to have any problems. And now if you're wondering, well, what should I take? Like, what's a good beginner cycle? Okay, well, it depends on what your goals are. Because, there's no compounds that are specifically like a cutting compound or a bulking compound. You can take whichever one you want on a cut or a bulk. But there are ones that would be better during a cut and would be better during a bulk. So you got to first ask yourself, what's the goal? What do you want to do? Because you can take a huge blast, but if you're on a huge calorie deficit and you're cutting really hard, it's going to help you maintain muscle. But it's not, you can take more and more grams of gear, but it's not going to really cause you to build more and more muscle. You just need to lock in on your training, lock in on your diet, make sure sleep is still important when you're on gear. You still need to be sleeping your 8 hours a night. That way you can actually recover and grow. But you also need to make sure you're training not just as hard, but harder while you're on cycle, so that you can actually stimulate that growth and so that the gear can actually do something. But if you want to start something basic, like you always want to just dip your toes into the water. You don't want to go straight into a huge blast and give yourself an anxiety attack or come up with a bunch of bad symptoms, and the next thing you know, you're having a bunch of problems. You always want to start with something really small. And if you want to do a big blast right off the bat without experimenting with something small, then you're already going into it with the wrong mindset, and you're already trying to rush things. And you don't want to be rushing things when you're trying to hop on gear. You want to take it slow, take it smooth, see how your body reacts to different compounds. Everybody is going to react to a different compound in a different way. Now, certain compounds are going to act a certain way no matter what, but whether or not you get certain side effects or how it affects you mentally is going to be completely different. So somebody could take tren and it can make them batshit crazy, or someone could take tren and they'll be fine on it. And the same thing goes with a lot of other compounds. And if you just control what you're using properly, you taper up your doses slowly, you're going to be fine, you're going to be safe, you're going to get good gains from it. But the first thing I would start off, you've probably already heard this, but something as simple as 250 milligrams of testosterone. That could be enanthate, cypionate, either or. They're both very similar. It doesn't really matter. Enanthate's going to give you a little bit higher testosterone levels, so I always recommend to go with that one. But if you want to use Test-C because maybe you get slightly less side effects for some reason with that, you can go with that. That's not really a problem. But that's a really good starting dose, because that's going to give your body, that's going to give you an idea of how your body's going to react to injectable testosterone. But not just that, it's going to give your body an idea, or it's going to give you an idea of how does your body aromatize testosterone into estrogen. If you go straight into a huge blast, you're going to end up with a shit ton of estrogen from using a shit ton of testosterone. And that's a problem, because now you might be having side effects and you don't know if it's just because you can't handle a high dose of test, or if it's just because you have too much estrogen. And then if you go straight into taking something to crush your estrogen and then you deplete your estrogen to zero, well, now you don't know how much of whatever it is you're taking, like you don't know how much of an aromatase inhibitor or how much DIM to be taking if you're just taking a random dose of it in order to get your estrogen in a proper location, because you just started off on some random dosing numbers. Start small and taper up. Start up at 250 milligrams of test. Don't use anything to control estrogen. Just see after 4 to 6 weeks on your blood work, what does the estrogen look like? And if it's kind of high, you can start off with using something like DIM that you can get from Amazon. And that's going to help you get your estrogen down a little bit, and you can see how you feel. And if you start to feel worse, then maybe you're somebody that needs to have a little bit of higher estrogen in order to actually just feel normal. But you do not, I cannot stress this enough as well, you do not want to completely crush your estrogen, or else you are going to feel like death and you're going to hate life. So do not go straight into it and be like, oh no, I want no estrogen, and I just want to be super lean, dry, and estrogen's for women and all this other stuff. You need to get rid of all these dogmatic mindsets, and you need to go into this open-minded and be understanding that it's going to be a learning curve and you're going to have to take things slow. And now if you're working with somebody that is allowing you to push things a little bit faster and they understand what they're doing, then that could be fine, because they know what to look out for real quick. But if this is something you want to experiment with on your own, then start off really slow, 250 test only, and then see how you react from that. And if you feel good, that doesn't mean you need to raise the dose now. Cruise out on that for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and see how your progress is. See how well you feel. Make sure you get blood work before you hop on test or before you hop on any gear. And you want to be getting it during your cycles and after as well, if you do decide to come off from PCT. Now, you could just stay on a dose of testosterone for however long you want. And as long as you're using HCG while you're taking your testosterone, you're not going to permanently shut yourself down. You'll be able to come off of it and then just stop using it if you want to. But that's only if you're using something to keep some sort of natural stimulation on your ball sack going. That way they actually continue to work. If you don't use any HCG or whatever, and you end up using test for a long time, well, you might be able to get your fertility back with some HCG, but as soon as you stop using the HCG, you're not going to be fertile again, and then you're going to be reliant on that for the rest of your life. If that's something you're okay with, that's completely fine. But if it's not something you want, and you do plan to, if you do plan to eventually hop off, then using something like HCG, that way you don't completely shut yourself down, is an amazing idea. And all this stuff is super cheap. It's not that difficult to get. It's not that expensive to get. So you can do this all affordably as well. You just need to be doing it smart. Next up, if you actually want to increase your dose, now say you've been cruising on 250 for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and you feel pretty good on that, then you maybe go up the dose by 100 milligrams, go up to 350 milligrams. Don't go like straight from 250 and double it to 500, because then once again, we don't know exactly how well your body aromatizes estrogen at 500 milligrams. So you want to kind of slowly up it. That way you can get an idea of how your body reacts to it and how much of an aromatase inhibitor or an estrogen controller that you need. But that's like one of the main things that you really need to keep an eye on, is how is your estrogen being affected? Because if it's too high, you're going to feel awful. If it's too low, you're going to feel awful. You want it to be in a good range that works best for you. And if you decide to up your test dose, by all means, up your test dose. But your first cycle should pretty much be only testosterone, and then you can throw in a little bit of Anavar. No, you cannot take only an oral and expect that to be okay. You can't take Anavar and then use enclomiphene to try to get your testosterone to stay active only. That's not going to work yet. You're going to end up feeling like shit by the end of it, and you're going to hate yourself. A needle is not that scary. It's not that bad. All you got to do is stick yourself with it, and you're going to fix so many problems. But I want to bring this up because I see so many people, so many misconceptions, and there's so many coaches out here that are giving cycle advice, or they're running cycles for their clients, and they're absolutely destroying people. And if they're not just destroying them, they're literally like killing them, because they have no knowledge on how to keep people healthy, or their knowledge is very dogmatic and they just want to believe one way. You can't just be forced to believe one way. You have to be willing to change things up. You have to be willing to study. You have to be willing to actually want to learn and understand what you're doing, or have somebody that's going to be guiding you that really does know what they're doing. Not just somebody that says, oh yeah, bro, we can get you on a cycle and make you feel good. Because they can maybe get you on a cycle and you might feel fine. You might get results, but then you're going to damage your health in the process. And the results are not worth it if it's going to be damaging your health. When you get the same results or better ones while staying healthy and feeling better. So, once again, yes, you can stay healthy on cycle. First cycle, 250 test. You can throw in a little bit of Anavar towards the end of it. See how you feel on that. We can assess that. Make sure you're controlling your estrogen. Make sure you're controlling your blood pressure. I recommend using something like Nebivolol at nighttime. That way you can get your heart rate down. You'll sleep a little better. For your supplements, some omega-3s, ubiquinol, vitamin B complex, some baby aspirin, some Tudka, some milk thistle, some astragalus, and it's going to be okay. And it's time to get fucking huge.